Good morning, 5th grade. We are ready for language lesson 157. To start off this morning, let's just go over our being verbs, the ones that we've learned so far, because they are also linking verbs, which we are going to be learning about today. So the being verbs, what are the being verbs? Can you think of what the list of being verbs is? Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Those are the being verbs. So in our lesson, we're talking about linking verbs. Let's just look at some sentences that I have on the board. Let's just mark the subjects and verbs in those sentences. So first of all, we have Blair is always nice. What's our verb? Is our verb. Who or what is, so that would be Blair, would be our subject. Next, we have the boys are good athletes. What is our verb there? Are is our verb. Who or what are? Boys. Boys is our subject. Next sentence. Those cookies were delicious. What is our verb? Were is our verb. Who or what were? Cookies. Cookies were. Cookies are our subject. The teacher is Mrs. Parker. What is our verb? Is the verb. Who or what is? Teacher. Teacher is. So, a linking verb links the subject with a complement in the predicate that describes or renames the subject. So, what are we saying there? If we look at the first sentence, we have our verb, and what the linking verb does, if it's a linking verb, is links our subject with a complement. This is another form of complement here. A complement in the predicate that describes or renames the subject. So, here, this is a linking verb. It's also in our being verb list. Being verbs can be being, and they can be linking. And this is linking our subject with a word here in the predicate that is describing our subject. Now let's look at the next sentence. The boys are good athletes. This is also a linking verb because it is linking our subject with a word that is renaming boys. In the next sentence, those cookies were delicious. This is a linking verb because it's linking the subject with a word that is describing our subject. The teacher is Mrs. Parker. This is a linking verb because it is linking the subject with a word that is renaming our subject. So we can see linking verbs link the subject with complements. These are the complements in the predicate that are renaming or describing the subject. So we've talked about action verbs, state of being verbs, and helping verbs. And this is our fourth type of verb, the linking verb. In your book, on page 278, they give a sentence. Miss Morrow is nice. And there is a linking verb that is connecting nice, which is describing our subject, Miss Morrow. The next sentence, Miss Morrow is a teacher. Is a linking verb that is linking the subject with teacher, which is renaming Miss Morrow. So now our list of stated being verbs is also a list of linking verbs. Sometimes they're state of being and sometimes they are linking. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Now look at the next examples on page 278. Sometimes, like I just said, the verbs are linking, sometimes they're being. Jasmine is pretty. That is linking because it's linking pretty, which is describing Jasmine. Anna is a good singer. Is linking there because it is linking singer to Anna. Singer is renaming Anna. The next one, Zachary is here. Here, in that sentence, is an adverb telling where he is. So is not a linking verb there because it's not linking any word that's describing or renaming Zachary. Here is not describing or renaming Zachary. Here is just an adverb saying where he is. Do you see the difference there? There has to be a complement in the predicate that's describing the subject or renaming the subject, not just an adverb, okay? So look at the next page, page 279. There are some verbs that can sometimes be linking verbs and sometimes be action verbs. So look at this list, the blue box on page 279. This list of verbs is taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, and stay. Now those verbs are sometimes action and sometimes linking. Now let's look at the difference. Let's look at some of the sentences here. At the beginning of the page, the lemon tastes tart. Is there a word in the predicate that's describing or renaming the subject? Yes, tart is describing lemon. What about the next one? I tasted the tart lemon. Is there a word in that predicate that is describing or renaming the subject? Is there? Anything describing or renaming I? No, there's not. It's saying what they tasted the lemon, but it's not describing or renaming I, so that is an action verb. Let's look at the next two. Your head feels warm. Is there a word in the predicate describing or renaming the subject? Yes, warm is describing head. What about the next one? The baby feels her soft blanket. Is there a word after feels that's describing or renaming baby? No. Blanket says what she feels, so that's a direct object. But there's nothing describing or renaming baby. So in that sentence, feels is an action verb. Turn to page 280. There are a few things you want to remember here. The last verb in a verb phrase is what tells you if it's action or linking. Also, linking verbs will be either from the state of being verb list or from the sometimes linking verb list. Taste, feel, smell, sound, look, appear, become, seem, grow, remain, stay. Those are sometimes linking verbs. If the subject is performing the action, you know it's an action verb. If a verb is followed by a word that describes or renames the subject, then you know it's a linking verb. Work your lesson carefully. Let me know if you have any questions. Do page